Hey YouTube, God bless you. This is Pastor Nate, and today I have my co-host with me today. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Hey, my name is Nathaniel. All right. He's not much of a talker, y'all. Everybody say we look alike. So,
You think?
but yes, we thank God for this wonderful day and thank God for my co-host being here with me today. He's not much of a talker. Normally he
Sorry.
comes on here and
Thought we were
sing,
gonna
but
sing.
I
Sorry.
had to drag him on here today with me. But today we're going to talk about knowing others. It's like, how well do you know the people in your circle? When you're married, you know your husband, you know your wife to the point where you can finish each other's sentence. And also to the point that when they make certain expressions on their faces, you know exactly what they're communicating. Why? Because you know them. You know, the scripture tells us, yes, entertainment, but you know, Pastor Nate, you know, I always got to put a scripture on there. Come on
Yeah.
now, you know me. That's who I am.
Jesus. Okay.
Anyways, don't hate. A scripture comes from 1 Thessalonians 5 and 12. You know,
Always
Paul was
preaching.
addressing the Thessalonians saying,
Always
know
preaching.
them that labor among you. It's important to know people who are around us, who we work with all the time, who we deal with on a regular basis, who we communicate. We might not know them to the extent that a person would know someone when they live together, like a husband and wife, like a family member, but we know them enough to know how to, interact. And those are some of the reasons why it's important to know people, so we'll know their boundaries. We'll know and understand their boundaries, what they like and what they don't like. So we'll know how to communicate and how to interact with each other. This is all part of knowing, because if we don't know that, that's why there are a lot of misunderstandings going on in the world. And we see a lot of this on the YouTube. We see this in our churches. We see this on our job. And sometimes even in our family members that aren't really close, that don't really live with each other, because sometimes family members, they don't really know each other, real deeply. I always use this saying, you don't know a preacher till you follow him home. When you live with a person, that's when you can really, really, really get to know a person, which is why I used the husband and wife analogy earlier, because no one knows
Sorry.
you like your spouse. If you sleep with somebody, you better know them. Y'all ain't gonna talk to me. So
Oh.
yes, it eliminates the confusion when we know a person. Here's a example. I remember I was in Brother Jay's chat earlier this week, or may have been last week, and he was having some technology issues and
Yeah,
they
I
couldn't
remember
hear him.
that. I remember
He had
that.
to log
Yeah.
off and come back on later, and everybody's like, I can't hear you. You sound
Astronaut.
muffled, or you in and out. And I made a comment, you sound like an astronaut. Well, Brother Jay knows my spirit. He knows I wasn't insulting him. But someone else in the chat was like, why did you say that?
She got hot.
I don't know how
Yeah.
you can insult someone by calling someone an astronaut. But my point was, I was saying you sound like you're talking in space. Y'all know we see the astronauts when they go in space and how they talk. They talk like they're underwater. They talk real muffled. You can't really understand what the astronaut is saying. That's what I was talking about. But because that individual didn't know my spirit, she didn't know me, she thought I was insulting. There was a misunderstanding. Of course, we cleared it up later on. I did tell her that what I meant. But Brother Jay didn't get offended because he knew my spirit. He knew what I was talking about,
Yeah,
because
brother
he
Jay
made the
knew.
comment. He said, somebody said I sound like an astronaut. In other words, he said, somebody's saying that I'm not clear. See, when you know a person, and I'm not saying we know each other like in detail, like real deeply, but since when you meet someone, you kind of have a pretty good, a decent knowledge base, I guess, of a person. So, yes, when we're comfortable with each other, when we know each other, we become comfortable with each other. We can, some of the things that we say, if we know each other, we might get away with it as opposed to somebody who doesn't know us, right? Because when the person who says something to us that we know, we really don't take it as criticism because we know the intent of that person's heart. But when somebody else says the same thing that we don't know, we might get offended, right? And take offense. And we'll say, I don't know you like that. Y'all know how we are. So knowing someone is probably half of the battle. That's probably eliminate a lot of this confusion and a lot of misunderstanding. You have anything?
No, that's true. I mean, that's how a lot of
Okay.
narratives are being
Okay.
spun.
So what I want to do is I want to see how well you know your content creators in the sector. So I'm going to pose 4 questions and you can put your comments in the chat. Again, if you feel like engaging, you can put your answers in the chat. If not, you can just make a mental note. I'm just coming today for entertainment. 4 questions.
We'll
I
have
could
it
have
up
had
on the
more, but
on the
like I
screen,
said, I don't
too.
want to make these things burdensome. These are supposed to be fun, So I am going to, because when we know someone, before I go into that, when we know someone, we understand their routine, their cliches, what they say, how they say, their mannerisms and different things like that.
Mannerisms.
We study those things about a person when we know a person. So here's the first question. I want you to name a content creator. It could be a small content creator, a medium size, or a large one. So I don't care about, their subscriber count or how big they are. I'm just more concerned about if you know them or not, right? So here is a content creator in this sector. I'm gonna ask a question. I want you to name the person. Name them in the order that I asked the question. This first content creator says, I had 9 babies, or 9 babies fell out this body and it still looks good.
9. Oh, Jesus.
She's got 9 children, but she made that comment one time. Who is that content creator? Let's see how well you know. 9 children.
9, y'all.
All right, number 2. Name this content creator. She works for a funeral home. She talks about embalming and different things like that. In fact, she says that the bodies are backed up.
God
I know
bless
that's
her.
kind of
God
graphic.
bless
I'm
her.
sorry about that, but I was trying to describe them to see if you know who this person is. All right. Content number 3. This person uses the phrase, "I said it." Yeah, I said it.
That should be easy.
I mean, she uses
You do
it
that
very
so
boldly
well.
too. Like if she sees you in the face or she meets you face to face, she's not going to take it back. She says, "I said it."
You're going to give it away how you
Cosmic,
doing it.
Stop acting crazy. Who's that content creator? All right, number 4. This content creator, when he's reading, when he's upset and lashing back at somebody, he'll get on and say, "Hello, my love. Yes, my love, my love." Who's that content creator?
with
He uses
sarcasm.
"my love"
Yeah.
throughout his reading session,
Yes, he does.
or throughout his throwing shade or his response videos. He says, "my love." You have something?
Yeah. For the church.
Okay, that's right. I'm sorry to my church folks. Yes, people who don't really watch people in the section. Go ahead and ask your questions for the church.
And anybody can answer this, but who was the person?
We got one more, so we got a 5th one. He's going to
You
ask
gonna
that
let me
question.
talk? Who was Jesus talking to when he said, "Get behind me, Satan"? Name that person Jesus was addressing. Anybody can answer that. That's the 5th one, a bonus one.
All right. So put your comments in the comment section. Thank you for joining us on this Saturday morning. I pray that you have the rest of your I pray that the rest of your weekend goes well and be blessed. And till next time, be at peace and not in pieces.
All right. Bye-bye.